I'm Daniel Williams, field organizer and legislative specialist with Equality Texas. There's so much going on. We split this week's update into two parts. In part one, I talked about what happened this week. So now let's talk about what's coming up next week, the 13th week of the 83rd Texas Legislature's regular session. Both the Senate Criminal Justice Committee and the House Criminal Jurisprudence Committee will hold hearings on Tuesday on the inequity in the state's Romeo and Juliet defense. Now, we have a law in Texas. It's a very good law. When I tell you about it, I think you'll agree with me that it's a good law. We have a law that says you can't have sex with children. Everyone agree? That's a good law, right? You in the back. Your hands raised? Okay, good. Well, there's an exception to this law. It's a very good exception, and when I tell you about it, I think you'll agree with me that it's a very good exception. The exception says that if the two people involved are both over the age of 14, the contact was consensual, and the two people are within 3 years of each other's age, that you can't be charged with this crime. Everyone agree that's a good exception? We don't want to lock up high school sweethearts, right? Okay. The problem is that there's a fourth criteria to the exception that I didn't tell you about. The two parties must be over 14, the contact must be consensual, the parties must be within 3 years of each other's age, and the parties are required to be of the opposite sex. That means we have a situation in Texas right now where if two high school students, one of them an 18-year-old senior and one of them a 16-year-old junior, become physically involved, if the 18-year-old is male and the 16-year-old is female, then the cops don't get involved. But if the 18-year-old is female and the 16-year-old is female, then the 18-year-old could be charged, prosecuted, convicted, sent to jail, and required to register as a sex offender for the rest of her life. Look, teenagers sometimes make decisions that we as adults know are not what's best for them. But that needs to be a conversation between parents and their children. Not between parents, the children, the arresting officer, the bailiff, the prosecuting attorney, the trial judge. The state should not be intruding on the right of parents to instill their values regarding sex into their children. It's a parent's job. On Tuesday, the hearing will address this issue. Also on Tuesday, the House Public Education Committee will hear HB 1568 by Drew Springer of Munster. HB 1568 seeks to put a tax on local control by reducing state funding for school districts that offer benefits to the non-dependent household members of school employees, including the employees' same-gender partners. Now, currently only one school district in Texas, the Pflugerville Independent School District, offers this kind of benefit. Local officials in Pflugerville decided that this benefit was needed in order to hire and retain the best possible educators. This was a business decision made by local officials who are in the best position to make local decisions. And they don't need Drew Springer, who represents a district 200 miles away, telling them what to do. 66% of registered voters in Texas support extending domestic partnership benefits to government and public university employees. Representative Springer is trying to impose his extreme views by meddling in what should be a local decision. Check in next week and I'll tell you how the hearings went. Until next time, I'm Daniel Williams, field organizer and legislative specialist with Equality Texas.